We're about to go live. There's a simple rule on my podcast, and it goes like this. Because of the generosity of Michael Ferentino, who has allowed me to use this song, this little clip, as sort of the theme to get into my podcast, now at number 111 if you're keeping score at home, he can come on anytime he wants, any time of the day, any time of the night. He says, I want to come on. He gets to come on. He gets carte blanche with me. Then again, I've also known him since, do you realize it's been about 30 years now?
Easily, yeah.
Yeah, I was about that because I was thinking about that. I'm like, I can remember the first time I met you. I'm like, it was like 30, 31 years ago. Oh,
it has to be. I'm going to say definitely 92, 93.
Yeah, I was thinking 93. Yeah.
So over 30 years now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's like we can also do the cliche and say, where did the time go? But somehow, neither one of us are aging badly. We're not. I'm sorry.
We both have shorter hair.
You know what? We have that same barber. He does such a great job. I'm telling you. We'd like to thank Matt Pinfield for being the influence of our hairstyles. Thank you very much.
Right on.
Here I am at the Shared Universe Studios in the Jersey Shore. My buddy Mike Ferentino, who has so many different projects we're going to talk about, is down in Florida and enjoying life and very happy to basically have Love and Verse back on the map because of a great video. Solo material that's coming out, and obviously I got to bring up Bedtime for your Bedtime for Robots projects. And do you ever stop? I come to the conclusion, if you have any free time, it's like work, my wife, and then I disappear for a couple hours and just do music.
Yeah, it's basically my therapy, man.
I can believe that. I can actually understand that. I think everybody needs, in one way, shape, or form, a creative outlet. So you saying it's therapy, I think it's the same thing for me. Just doing radio and I'm not doing it as much as I used to. You don't do music as much as you used to. So I think we both have kind of channeled this. It's a release. And when we get that, we feel a little bit better. And it kind of makes, let's say you're having a bad week. Somehow that outlet just kind of go, okay, I feel a little bit better. Maybe not all my problems are solved, but you know what? Just having that release really helps.
On some level, I think I do more music now than I ever did. I just don't perform live, really.
Yeah. In one sense, it's really interesting because you truly have become this session guy who is not afraid to go into his studio or just do what he does. When you get the guys from Love and Reverse together, it's like, okay, here's Anders. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Anders. Your birthday was 5 days ago, so I'm recognizing it here on the podcast for sure. And also getting Halpern on drums, but it's like, okay, you got New York, New Jersey, and Florida. And I think do you think this is more commonplace than ever before, that what we're seeing here with music, that it's like, now that we have the technology that we have, that nobody has to be in the same room at the same time, you can still do great music. It might be a little, I don't know, you answer that. Is it more difficult not having everybody in the same room, or is it slightly easier?
I don't know. I'm going to say it works really well for us because of the way Andres and I have always worked together.
Right.
Where I do my thing. I give it to him.
Right.
He wants me out of there when he's doing his thing. So instead of me being up his butt, I can't be anywhere near him. I'm in another state. It works out really well for us, you know.
I guess, like you said, it may only work for you, but I would think with the way technology is, this is, once again, and I've said this before with Mike as my guest, they've always been ahead of the curve, even in the way they're doing music. I think has been a little bit ahead of the curve, because I think you're starting to see more bands go down this, because you can't get everybody in the same room at the same time. And older bands, especially when everybody's got their lives going the way they are, trying to get them all together, like trying to get 5 or 6 guys into a studio and trying to record the traditional way. I just don't see that being feasible.
Yeah, I would say it's probably more difficult if you're a band that's more like a live performance band, where, you know, you're more of a jam band sort of thing. That would probably be very difficult.
Right.
But, you know, we kind of structured our songs around electronics, even all the way back in the late 80s. So this is just, you know, just that next step forward, you know.
It's interesting, though. And I've listened to Summer Horror a million times already. And I'm going, this is the least electronic song you've ever done. Although it's still got your signature sound, it's still, I look at it and go, the guys just released a guitar rock song that really is amazing. And happy to say that's sort of the nice little story that's going on. The video sort of caught fire the last month out of nowhere, where it's like, here's this little indie release, which maybe gets a couple of hundred views if you're lucky. And suddenly you're approaching 100K.
Right. Part of it is thanks to the label. They did a little bit of effort behind it. And I think just because the video that Michael Moser, this amazing artist out of Philadelphia, he's a guy I met while I was in grad school. Believe it or
Wow.
not. I was taking a break and I went over to the Applebee's across the street from school during one of the crazy days. And I see this guy sitting at the bar. And I hear him talking to some guy about Brian Eno. So I went up to him, I'm like, immediately, what do you know about Brian Eno? And he's like, what do you know about Brian Eno? And that's how we hit it off. We've been friends ever since.
Props to him, because what I love about this, if MTV, I'll put it this way, if MTV were doing videos and they used to have this thing called Breakthrough Video, which is this video that was so avant-garde, that was so different from anything else you were seeing, it got special. This is what this video is. The imagery, it's kind of, it comes across as part animated, part, we're going to get into AI at some point in this. There's a little bit of AI, I feel like, is going on in here.
Well, let me tell you exactly how he did it. Because it is based on AI, believe it or not.
Really? Okay, now you got me curious.
So what he did was he got one of the early AI animation software. I don't know exactly which one he started with, but he ended up using about 3 different ones for this video. And he did these 6-second clips because that's all you could do 6 months ago. Now we're up to 2 minutes, and by next year it'll be 2.5-hour movies, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was only able to do 6-second clips at a time. But he also has this style in his videos that I always love, where he layers and layers all these different things. And that's why when I called him and said, do you think you'd be interested in doing a video? Because somebody else was supposed to do this video.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't know what it was going to be, but they weren't available. So I said, the label had somebody in mind. So I called him up and said, I know you're interested in all this AI stuff now. Maybe you can experiment and do something with a 3-minute song I've got. And I sent it to him, and he was like, oh, this is perfect for what I want to do. And,
so really, you kind of indulged him in a sense to allow him to be this creative and kind of play with the technology that's going on. And what you get is just, like I said, it's probably the best artistic video I've seen in the last 5 years for sure. So this is where we're going to go more into AI, but on this application of AI, this is positive. This is a nice tool, let's say, to create more in the video forms, so bands can do stuff that's not just them standing there. Maybe they want to do some acting, but having this at their disposal can also create some really good content. And with that, I guess I should show the video, and this way we can prove the point. So with that in mind, Ming, get it ready. Here it is. This is the new song. Lover Versus album's coming out later this summer. It will be called Keep Uptight. Keep
upright.
Excuse me. See, keep upright. Uptight. Mike Ferentino, uptight. I should have known better. But listen to the lyrics, because I'll tell you something. We've all had that one summer of horror with somebody in our lives. Here it is on the A Game. Enjoy the imagery.
My fever was so high that summer
You know what's interesting in the video that I just kind of noticed, and there is that at first you think it's you in the video, and it's obviously not, but that's literally like an AI version of you.
Right. That's what he
Oh,
wanted to create in that.
he,
Yeah.
he nailed that in that sense. Because at first, when I first saw the video, I'm like going, "Oh, that's Mike being animated." I'm like, but then you look on and go, "No, it's not Mike," and
Right.
he captured something really cool there because it's like you figure out it's not, but it's a nice. I would call
Right.
it a compliment to you that he got it that well in anime that way.
And that's really just him putting prompts in, describing me in words. That's what makes AI so incredible.
I see. I had no idea. That's
That's how
crazy,
it's done. Yeah, it's literally just described in prompts. So you put text words in, you describe what you want in a scene,
right?
and it will create it out of nothing. Basically, out of all of the machine learning it has done through whatever it has access to.
So in essence, he's also using some of the lyrics in the song and using his prompts to kind of
Right.
bring some things. What a lovely lady to
Yeah.
burn, and here comes the burn.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
wild.
Yeah. It's amazing technology, man. It's just it's scary
That's
and
see, that's the other.
exciting all
I'm
at the
glad you're
same
going there
time.
because that's the other thing I'm concerned about. That it is kind of scary on
Yeah.
some levels, where it's like for videos, I think it's fantastic, but on
Yeah.
another level, when you read about what's going on with AI, like I'm going to get into this part. You know, when we look about
Sure.
what the Beatles did recently and
Right.
rejuvenating John Lennon, taking a vocal that was done on a demo, used AI to create the vocal for the new song, but it was still Lennon, but you used
Right.
the AI technology to enhance it and create something that would never have been able to create. Now, on that level, I go, okay, you know what? I'm cool with that because we're never going to get John Lennon back. You based it on a demo. Okay. So far, I'm okay with that. But if all of a sudden we're just taking a vocal out of nowhere and creating a vocal, and all of a sudden we've got lead singer A, who is he? Oh, we
N-
call him AI.
Now
Uh,
I'm not sure exactly how they did it. I did watch a video where they were explaining it a little bit, but I
right.
think they were a little bit vague about what they did.
Mm,
My guess is they took an original cassette tape that
that's about
they apparently got from Yoko, and I think they found a way they were able to isolate all the instruments. And still, that was some technology that was available before. That's not brand new.
true, but I think the
Um,
technology did improve because let's go back to Free as a Bird when they released that.
right,
You can tell that Lennon's vocals were a little more mono than they were stereo, and now all of a sudden the vocals are definitely a little more rich because of the
right.
technology right now.
What they may have done, I'm not speaking for the Beatles by any
Of
means,
course not.
but
Yeah, but
if any one of them, let's say Paul got in and just sang the song,
right.
then they took John's voice and duplicated it with AI. This is how I did the thing I did with Grimes. So that's the one AI song I did do. I did a collaboration with Grimes, which was through her company. Elf Tech is the name of the company. And the way we did this
Mhm.
is I wrote a song that I had for an upcoming album. In fact, there's a version of it that I sing as well.
Okay.
And then I did a second one as well, and also sent that in, and it got accepted as well. But what I did was I actually recorded the whole song.
Right.
I sang the vocals
Right.
in my voice.
Mhm.
I then put it through her transformer, her AI transformer.
Okay.
Basically, all it does is it takes exactly what I sang and it changes the voice to hers through, some behind the scenes technology. And it literally is down to everything, her little lisp that she has. It was pretty amazing. And I tried a couple songs with it. Tried singing a little bit differently each time to really get the nuance of her
Sure.
voice. But it's pretty wild. That was the first AI tool I ever used, and um, I think it's remarkable what you can do. So that's what I'm thinking the Beatles may have done is
Right.
just get a clip of Lennon's voice,
Right.
and then maybe one of the other ones sang it all the way through, and then they just swapped the voices. That's possibly how they did it.
Well, since you've done this with AI, I mean,
Right.
like you said, it's wild. But is it something that when you look at it, should it be sustainable? Not will it be, because I think obviously this is where technology is going to go
Right.
and how we use it is going to be the question. Because
Sure.
my concern as somebody who's been, just broadcasting and also being around musicians pretty much for the last 30 plus years of my life.
Right.
Are we cutting out the middle guy? Meaning that all of a sudden anybody could be a singer and suddenly there's no, I'll say it this way. It's not organic all of a sudden. Now, all of a sudden, it's more processed. And I know you love technology. That's the
Right.
thing. And this is probably where the wrestling in your mind's got to go. You've always been about technology. You know how to use technology. Is this going too far?
Uh, this is a tough one
Right.
because it is a tough question. It's a very philosophical question, actually.
Yeah.
On some level, we sort of did that with the drum machine, right?
True.
We sort of did that with the synthesizer.
Yes, we did.
However, the big difference is even when I'm doing drum machine parts in all my music
Mm-hmm.
and synth parts, I literally program that stuff. I'm coming up with the melodies. I'm doing the drum parts. In some cases, there's a couple of techniques I've learned where I literally draw random pictures with waveforms so I can get certain sounds that I want to see. That what is it going to sound like if I draw the word?
Okay.
Draw a word. What does that word sound like in waveform? Like I literally draw out something. I'll even spell things out. That works great for my bedtime for robot stuff. But if you're particularly have a melody in your mind, you're not going to get anything good out of that.
Right. So
Um,
it almost sounds like, in a sense, it's like if you want to be experimental, and the only
mhm,
person that really comes to mind right now on the rock side, a guy named Des Rocks out of Long Island.
mm,
I Am the Lightning is kind of got a lot of synth, a lot of guitar, a lot of just
right,
a lot of wall of sound going on. It works. It's a really good song. And I'm not saying he's using AI, but I get the feeling that's the sound you're going to have to go for. It's not about, rich melody. It's more about, okay, maybe it's going to be part Ministry, part Corn in a sense, where you're going to trying to go for this big wall of sound.
right.
Yeah.
Now there are three major. I can't think of the name of each one of these now off the top of my head because I kind of follow AI in a different way than the specifics of each one of these music apps and whatnot.
Okay.
I'm more about learning a bit about this whole Chat GPT and GPT-4 Omni,
Mm-hmm.
which is really mind blowing stuff. But when it comes to the individual applications, there's so many different ones. Whether you're doing video like Sora and things like that, or
Right.
whether you're doing music, and I forget the names of the new things that are out there because there's so many now.
Right.
But the scary thing about this, I heard a demo of like 3 or 4 songs that literally the songs were created by prompting, and this is how it was done.
Okay.
So imagine I just describe a song that I want to hear, and it
Whatever.
wasn't even
Whatever.
described using
Whatever.
like
Just
a
feel.
key or anything. It was just a 90s alternative rock style about blah 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 with guitars. I want a real guitar solo. It
Right.
depends on how you actually prompt this, and then it spits out the song with real singers, real guitar players, or so it sounds.
Right.
I can't understand what's going on behind the scenes, except for what I understand about AI, which is all layers and layers and layers of almost like trying to replicate the way our neurotransmitters work to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
It,
pretty intense.
yeah.
I would love to go into one of these studios behind the scenes where and have these scientists show me exactly what they're doing. I would love to know.
You know what band that I think about in this case where AI could probably benefit them? Only because of the fact that you take the guys from Blur who are the main components in Gorillaz, and
Mhm.
knowing that Gorillaz are already animated to begin with, in a sense, you could create that wall of sound, and it's sort of like, okay, 90s alternative sounding like Blur, and throw in Gorillaz and kind of maybe mesh this into something where now we get the animation to match the AI, and
Right.
suddenly this animated band's a band. You know,
Apparently, they're trying to block any chance of you actually naming someone. So if you said, I want to do something like Paul McCartney,
right.
there's where you're getting into lawsuits, right?
Okay.
So right now, from what I understand, the ones that are available, you can't do that, but you can describe a style of music. You can say, I want a reggae ska style beat from like say the early 80s. And you can't say the Specials, but you could
Okay.
say
Yeah,
you could describe what the
sure.
Specials might sound like.
As generic as possible
You
without
know?
being too specific.
And then you can go into, but I want a voice, and then describe something that might be in the realm of Lord, something
Okay.
in the realm of, and I heard one that was kind of like Lord meets um, Tegan and Sarah.
I like them.
And it was actually not a bad song, and it was all just somebody described the song, and it spit out a song that sounded like better than most of the pop crap that I hear on the radio now. I was like, holy crap, this
Yeah.
is
I'll go there with you later, I promise
yeah,
you. But since we're talking about AI, here's my concern.
right,
As a radio guy, as somebody who does broadcasting, it's going to get to a point where somebody working for whatever company I'm working for at that point
right.
may be able to take my likeness of my voice and say, well, we're going to pay you this for the likeness of your voice, and that's it. And then all of a sudden, they got your voice for life.
It's going to be worse than that, to be
You think?
honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it's only a matter of time between that and there's some humanoid robots that are being developed, and actually a number of
I
robots
just
that are
read an article on that. Yeah, that
out there.
freaked me out. Oh my god! I mean,
Now
we're
you just got to add the AI to the pre-existing robots and the developing robots that like Elon Musk is working on
right.
at Tesla and some of these other ones. I saw one out of China recently that was just pretty amazing. You never know like how much of this stuff is actually real, or some of it is a little bit propaganda videos. But what we will talk about this eventually. Chat GPT's new thing, they actually demonstrated it live. GPT for Omni,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched that. And if you ever saw the movie Her with
Yes.
Scarlett, they basically came up with the first version of that.
Wow.
It's unbelievable,
Yeah,
actually.
and Joaquin Phoenix, by the way, was great in that movie too.
Oh, I love that film.
But that's a great comparable because that is sort of that was the whole basis. So
Right,
it's literally like it's not art imitating life. It's that now all of a sudden life is imitating art. Here's a movie
right.
that the movie I think came out maybe 8 to 10 years ago. Now here we are, fast forward, and we're actually talking about this stuff. Oh my god.
You know what's crazy is initially a lot of people said, when AI finally gets to the point where it is now, where it's going to head next, which they call artificial general intelligence,
Mhm.
AGI.
Right.
They're expecting that some of the futurists like Ray Kurzweil,
Mhm.
um, the guy who used to be the head of Microsoft at one point, was it Microsoft? No, Google. I'm sorry.
Google. Okay.
Those guys are they are projecting 2027 to 2029 is when we reach AGI, which means that basically artificial intelligence has reached the point where you can't distinguish it from the most intelligent human on the planet.
Well, I'm going to take it on the level of this is one of the big reasons you hear about SAG-AFTRA, which is the actors union, the voiceover
Right.
union, why they are so concerned and
Sure.
majorly concerned about AI and about
Right.
the future of really the future of the industry in general.
Yeah. I guess what I was trying to say though is that they originally thought that it would go after things like data mining, things like that,
Yeah,
things like coding, which is bad enough for all those people that do that as a job.
right.
But they said, yeah, but and this is in the early days. A lot of people said, but the one thing you can't replace is human creativity, and it's ironic that is the first thing that's being done with it.
And therein lies the polarization of
Yeah,
AI at this point. We have shown on one level with your video how wonderful of a tool it can be. But then if you go 5 steps further, all of a sudden now the creative arts in
yeah.
general, music, acting, broadcasting, whatever the case may be, now suddenly you're impinging upon that world and taking all the creativity and sucking it out of the atmosphere. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
And that's the thing on my end, why when we had discussed this before we came on, and I thought this is a fascinating, of all people I'm going to talk about this with, I knew it had to be you because I mean you've always been that guy who's like, you've always been interested in everything that is coming new, because and it also plays into your music. You've never been afraid to use the technology to your advantage, not have it be the thing, but use it as a tool. And I think that's my point. If you use everything as a tool, that's fine. Don't make it the quote unquote Bible.
It's so important to me with this. For me as an artist, I
Yeah.
I actually figured out where my line in the sand goes with AI.
Please. Yeah, I'm curious.
So for me as an artist, tools like things like I don't consider myself a filmmaker. So having somebody make a video with that's okay with me.
Okay.
I do not consider myself a studio engineer or mixing engineer, although I've had to learn all those things. That's a necessary evil to me.
Sure.
That is where I'm welcoming AI. And I don't even feel bad because I'm not taking anybody's jobs because I couldn't afford to pay a studio engineer anyway.
Right.
Which I've been using, home studio equipment since 1987.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it would take hours and hours and hours of setup time just to get a guitar sound. Now you plug in, you have amps that are, I don't like the sound of that amp. After the guitar track is done, I can switch it out and make it a different amp.
Right.
That guitar effect that I had on there that you used to have to commit to before you recorded,
right,
you can swap that out. And this is prior to AI, all this is available. Mm-hmm. But now, with AI, the idea of like quickly just getting my EQ and everything down and let the AI say, okay, I know what you're looking for, blah, 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 blah. Sure. Beautiful, good. I don't have to waste time on this. Now I can do my performing. And that's where I don't want to be replaced. I'm always going to play my guitar parts, my vocals, tweaking things once in a while with effects. I'm totally down with that. Like Bowie used to do, like everybody that, is interested in
exactly
technology, but I don't want to ever replace myself with this. You know what I mean?
And I think that's the thing we got to watch out for. I think it's very well said. Not let technology replace you, replace the artist. The tool, fantastic. Keep it as the tool. But that's going to be the real question over the next few years. Can we contain it as a tool, or will it be all-encompassing and all taking over?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think there's going to be both.
Okay.
I think that you will have people that, and you'll have companies like Spotify, who are like the new record labels.
Oh, yeah.
That will just basically churn out AI music and collect their own royalties to keep the company going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
You come up with all kinds of pseudonyms and just pump out music left and right. That's probably a lot of it garbage. But down the line, you don't know. I mean, as it gets sophisticated, I could see AI doing something as technical as Frank Zappa. I could see it being as creative as Miles Davis.
Wow.
Doing some really interesting things. It's just, this is the beginning. This is year one was November of 2022.
Right.
When ChatGPT came out. To me, that's the beginning of a new era that is going to be unprecedented. And I've heard in the World Economic Forum, they are describing this as groundbreaking as fire, as groundbreaking as the printing press.
So in other words, if they go public, invest in that stock quickly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's beyond, it's not just another computer program.
Right.
It's not just the iPhone, which was already amazing in itself, like the smartphone and having a computer in your pocket. This is another level, man.
Yeah, definitely. I will say this. I am glad I got into this with you on this. And I think, if anything, I learned a few things after this conversation, too. So I really appreciate that. And it's good to get your take as an artist, because I think the more we talk about this, the more maybe we can try to control this a little bit, not let it get out of control. But again, something, now you understand why unions like SAG-AFTRA are watching this very carefully, why the radio industry and why the music industry are paying close attention to what is going on with AI. Very important stuff.
And yet, and it goes out to, it's going to also permeate healthcare. It's going to permeate the law world. Lawyers, their assistants, I mean, I don't think there's an area that's not going to be affected by AI. Management.
Yeah. See, but in my head, I'm going, you mentioned medicine. I'm going, I would love to see AI kind of maybe be the thing that, okay, we're going to get cures for things that we need cures for. If AI is used in that way, sign me up. I'm on board for it. That's a beautiful tool. But
how about a really empathetic AI that can outdiagnose any doctor? And also shows empathy and has great bedside manner. That's coming. How long from now? I don't know. Your prediction's as good as mine, but
but
that's coming for sure.
I think we're gonna have to talk about this next year and see where we're at for sure.
Yeah.
You're going to come on every year anyhow. So long as I'm doing this, you're on. I know that.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Again, Love in Reverse's new album comes out later this summer. Mike's got solo material that is coming out. Old Nick at My Throat Again, if I've got the title correctly.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's coming out on May 31st. I know you got your guitar there. I'm going to put you to work, but I'm going to do random shots first. Then I'll put you to work. It'd be a great way to wrap up. So
You got it, man.
after that conversation, I need a drink. I mean, God.
Yeah, we're all gonna need one tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Mike, third time around. Thank you for coming back on as always.
My pleasure to be here.
Now, since you mentioned pop music, I wasn't going to do that first in random shots, but I think it's the perfect place to start because
Sure.
there was something that you kind of posted on Facebook. I got a chuckle out of it, but you'll see where I'm going with this. Ming, give me photo number 6, please. You shared this. Before I knew who she was, a friend asked me if I liked Dua Lipa. My response was that I'd never heard of Dua Lipa and asked if it was a cholesterol-lowering drug like Lipitor. I laughed out loud when I read that.
That is the brilliant Tony Senatore, the bass player from the Transfusion M Suck Century album. He put that out.
Tony?
I was dying laughing, and I had to repost that because it was so great.
Now, on another level, because you gotta be able to laugh at certain things.
Sure.
But in the pop world, this is maybe you're gonna argue with me, but Dua Lipa did release some really good stuff.
I don't know her music well, so I can't really comment on
that's
that.
fair. Honestly, knowing your musical taste like I do, it may not be your thing, but at least it's creating good dance music. She's got a great vocal, and she's kind of recapturing all of that energy from the 70s and the early 80s, and it works. And sometimes that throwback does work, and it's one of the better pop albums I've heard in the last few years.
You'd be surprised by my taste in music. I actually make my stepdaughter laugh. She'll come down with her friends, and I'm sitting here jamming to Kesha. Britney Spears.
Kesha, I can see. Britney Spears, you're shocking me on that one. I'll give you that.
Who else can I go to? Krayshawn.
Interesting.
Who else can I say here? Believe it or not, Carly Rae Jepsen. Yeah,
here's my number, so call me maybe. All right, but she's more than that one song, though. I get the feeling you know more about Carly Rae than most people because she's been pigeonholed into that one-hit wonder category. Sadly,
no, she's very talented. That's the one song I really love by her, though.
Oh yeah, it's catchy as all get out. There's no question about it. You know,
I like really, really catchy, stupid, like McDonald's pop music. Sometimes there's a mood for it. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
You know, sometimes it's that, sometimes it's Miles Davis. It depends the mood.
That's true. And that's the one thing I do know about you when it comes to music. It really does run the spectrum, and you're not afraid to kind of go, hey, look, I've listened to Britney Spears and Miles Davis in the same day. Fight me on it. Go ahead.
Many times, yeah.
I'm going to do a couple of tributes here because, you know, earlier this month we lost the great Steve Albini and all the work that he's done. In your mind as a music fan, what do you think his legacy is?
I'm gonna say for sure In Utero.
Have to.
One of the greatest albums of the '90s for sure.
Album for sure.
I liked the first album a lot, but when I heard In Utero, and I got to see them live for that.
Right.
I got to see them at the New Music Seminar in 1994 or '93. I think it was the end of '93.
Yeah, that was a gift. Yeah, you're at MMS. I mean, which, by the way, as far as seminars go, I mean, it was this big thing when it came to college radio and alternative radio, for sure.
Yeah, I think they played the Ritz. It was one of the bigger, bigger that size venue, like the Ritz, Webster Hall. I forget which one. I think it was the Ritz. And it was, if you had the pass, you got in for free to see Nirvana.
Right.
Which I felt bad for all like the bands that were trying to get attention that night. You know, their new music, you know, the big major label band, everybody wanted to go see them. So I was like, all right, we got to see Nirvana, but then let's try to see some of the unknown artists and some of the DJs and stuff too.
When I look back on Albini, I mean, the other name that's got to keep in the back of your mind, because it seems like him and Kim Deal are just so connected for as many Pixie albums as he did and a few of the previous albums. So, I mean, I really believe that Kim owes a lot to Albini in the creative process of her career, without a doubt.
And let's not forget PJ Harvey's Rid of Me.
Oh, yeah. That's where PJ Harvey really became this, as I'll put it this way, the one everybody in the industry wanted to see succeed because she was just so cool and so different at that point.
And she's just so real, man.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if you've heard her 4-track demo albums, but she's released every one of her albums now as 4-track demos, her original versions.
Wow.
I almost like some of those better. They're like really stripped down and just, just raw, and you hear all the tape noise. I love it.
Yeah. As one of the
Speaking of which, my old Nick album, that's one of the very big influences of it, is that style of recording.
Interesting. So
It's
in a
really
sense,
raw.
well, forgive me for interrupting. Then what we're getting in a Michael Ferentino album is more of a look. You know what I do in Love in Reverse. If you follow me on Bedtime for Robots, you know what I'm doing there. I'm not giving you that. I'm actually
Not
going
at
to give
all.
you, and that I think that I props to you because that's one of the biggest things I've always said. When an artist goes away from their band, at least do something different.
Right.
Don't try to just okay, I'm just going to release what I would normally release in the band. It's like, then where's the creative flow? So
Right.
I'm happy to hear that you're kind of doing something that's like, this is a little different. And knowing that it has more of a 4-track acoustic feel, that's kind of hip.
Yeah, it's like it's really noisy. It was all recorded raw, so all the guitars are in one take, the vocals are all in one take. There's no drums or bass on the album, but
Wow.
the drums that I do, any little bit of percussion that's done on it is literally me tapping like couches and things like that.
Nice.
It's very few tracks. I don't think there's more than 8 tracks maximum on maybe a few songs, but mostly it's like 3 or 4. I played like an old beat up mandolin on one
Oh,
song.
wow.
Pretty wild record, man.
I like where this is going. I'm going to put
And
you to
it's
work short.
really raw lyrics. It's all personal, very honest, just kind of in your face kind of shit.
Why do I get the feeling there's a little bit of therapy behind that? Kind of like, okay, I need to let this out. So here we go.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm putting you to work in a few. There's somebody else I want to play tribute to because you actually post this photo practically around this time every year. Give me photo number 2. And this gentleman, the irony of seeing this photo on your page, that's Jeff Buckley, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
going through my old stuff, and all of a sudden, I find this out of nowhere.
One of the greatest albums ever recorded.
I will tell everybody, I agree with Mike totally. If you ever get a chance, just tell Alexa, tell wherever you go to get your music, get Grace from Jeff Buckley, top to bottom. You will not be disappointed. And it's weird because I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, going, he actually just, I remember interviewing him and I remember in him just being this very shy kind of guy. He talked a little bit, but then he's like, he's doing this, the cloud here with the Rob, and he's putting some hearts on here. Thanks for having me over, Jeff Buckley. And I thought, sweetheart of a guy. That's my memory of Jeff. And yeah, the title track, Grace, over and over. I can listen to that and never get tired because the layers of his vocals and the music around it is just awesome. It really
Lover,
is.
You Should Have Come Over. Oh my God, what a great record.
Yeah.
Cherish that, man. That's a beautiful thing to have.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to share that with you. And the haunting irony that his hit song is The Last Goodbye. There's the haunting irony of it all. Because when we all heard it, suddenly he was just gone. And we were like, what?
I mean, I'll never forget that day. I was in the studio when Andres told me. He's like, oh my God, did you hear about what happened to Jeff Buckley? I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. He was just getting started, man. And his father died pretty young and mysteriously, too, from what I know.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The interesting numbers that I dug up, that album, Grace, has actually sold over 5 million worldwide over the years. And it's had pockets of success after his release. And part of that, believe it or not, is American Idol. That they've used some of Buckley's music, especially Hallelujah, because everybody remembers Buckley's version of Hallelujah is sort of the standard of that song. But it seems to me, and you might agree with this, Buckley's career got more respect as the years have gone on. Even though it was one album, everybody has talked about this album over the last 27, 28 years.
It is. It's just, it's one of those timeless records that you can't deny the talent that's on that. It's just unbelievable. Every part of it, his guitar playing, his singing, his songwriting, it's just wonderful.
I brought up American Idol, and I got to pose this question to you because I don't think I've ever posed this because I know how you feel about pop music, but knowing that we've got more competitions than ever before, let me put you in the body of a 30-year younger Mike Ferentino.
Okay.
Let's say the voice is around at that point. Does any of that even give you an inkling of going, maybe I give it a try? Or is it still just like, no, this is just not my thing at
That
all?
wouldn't be my thing, man.
Yeah.
No, trying to go on there and do like cover songs from other artists
Mhm.
and then have somebody coach me and no.
You're right.
Let's
Yeah.
put it this way, just to give you, especially if you were going to put me back in my younger self, which
Yeah,
is
please.
I made some pretty stupid decisions in my day because of trying to be just so real
Right.
that I shot myself in the foot with this one. I
Mhm.
got offered by Howie Klein, the president of Warner Reprise at the time. We're doing the soundtrack album for this new show that's out called Friends. Would you guys be interested in this? Um, he's like, I could. He goes, I'm producing the whole thing, so I can put any of your songs on if you want. I'm like, that sounds really silly for what we're doing.
Hindsight being 2020 now. Yeah.
Bad idea. I was like, maybe something like the X Files that would work well
Yeah.
with our style.
It's funny, 30 plus years. You've never told me that story. That's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah, I turned down the Friends soundtrack.
Ouch. That hurts. But it makes me think about something else. As you said, you can't be coached. You got to be your individual. Did that change a little bit? And hello, Miles Hunt, if you're watching from the Wonder stuff, when you got to work with Miles and
Right.
kind of doing that whole thing, because that was different for you, because you were always
Very
like,
much so.
right, you're creating your own sound, you're doing that, but now you're part of a band, and
Right.
it's Miles's thing. So did you take more of a, okay, you know what, maybe I can be more collaborative in the
Absolutely. And I also got to be someone that can focus on just being a guitarist, which was that's my original first love. So that was really yeah, I actually loved that experience. I really did. In fact, I probably could have done that for a long time if we, you know, had decided to keep that together. That was more Miles wanted to go back to do the Wonder stuff because don't think he was used to that lower level of fame in England at the time. I think he was expecting a lot more from the audience. I was pretty blown away. We played some pretty, amazing shows there. Like sold out this one place in London almost every week that we played, and some pretty big people came in to see us. I met uh, Marco from Adam and the Ants.
There you go.
One of the guys from Slade showed up one night.
Nice.
And Robbie Williams showed up to one of our shows. It was pretty
I
crazy
love
time.
Robbie. I think he's crazy, but I love his music. I really do.
I think he's all right,
Yeah,
man. I'm down.
yeah. There's something. I know where he came from as far as pop music goes, but his stuff, just I'm talking about his solo stuff. He's trying to put some bite into it, and I think that's just it's Robbie being Robbie, and that's probably why I like it.
Right.
Because I can feel he's being true to himself with that shit.
That's cool. That's what I'm all about.
Absolutely.
Whatever that truth is, man.
Hmm. Well, I want to hear some of this truth. You going to give me a track from the new solo album right now, by any chance?
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
All right,
I'm
Ming.
trying to think of which one I want to do of two. I do
Yeah,
one,
okay.
one or the other.
All right.
The one that comes first to me is what I'm going to do.
I will set the screen. Mike Ferentino takes center stage. Ming, put him up, Mike. Right now on the A game. Let's do it.
Early in the morning is when I go to sleep. Another round of Phaedra to help me count the sheep. Early in the morning. Early in the morning. Early in the morning, the birds are screaming high. Drown out all the traffic, the truckers and cool guys revving up the engines. So early in the morning, sun beats down like a bald motherfucker shining down on the earth. All the idiots and animals, and I'm lying here contemplating if I ever want to see the sun come up as I face my fate and do it all over again. Another round of failure, let me count the sheep. Early in the morning. Yeah, early in the morning. Sun beats down like a bomb, motherfucker, shining down on the earth. All the aliens and I don't know that I'm lying here contemplating if I ever wanna see the sun come up as I face my fate and do it all over again.
Yeah, I have that feeling all the time early in the morning. So I understand the song so well. It's beautiful. The solo album comes out the 31st. They can find it on iTunes and all the places they find their music, correct, sir?
And also the Transfusion M album, which is my other more electronic but songwriting project.
Right.
That's coming out. That's the Sunshine Removal Syndicate is the name of that record.
I need a scorecard to keep up.
They both come out on the 31st.
Okay, so they're both coming out on the 31st. So keep that in mind for the 31st. Then later this summer, the new Love in Reverse album will be out. Continue to spread the love for them for Summer of Horror. We want to see this thing maybe have a few more legs than anybody thought possible. It's off to a great start, and bravo to your label for what they've done so far. It's a really nice story going on.
Yeah, Dada Drumming, Greg from Dada Drumming, man.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with Dada Drumming until you released it, so I got to say full props to them, because a lot of indie labels don't do what they've done so far, because you sit there and go, the video has gotten that much so far. That's a credit to them. It's an absolute credit to them.
He's awesome. He actually started off with mostly noise artists from all over the planet, like a lot of Japanese bands, and then some like really sludge heavy stuff. But he said he wanted to expand it, and he always liked my stuff. So he's like, would you be interested in doing some solo stuff? So I was like, what about a Love in Reverse album? He's like, yeah, why the hell not?
Well, I'm going to leave with this one thought, because I know you guys are really a touring band, but if Summer Horror gets a few more legs, would that convince you to maybe do a few dates?
It would depend on a number of factors. I mean, the reality is it would have to be realistic enough for us to be able to pull it off, because we live in 3 different states. So I wouldn't want to just wing it. It would have to be really good. I'd have to feel like we were back to where we were when we last performed live, which is 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's a fair assessment. No, and again, it's an understanding of how you treat the industry these days. You're creative. You still have a creative outlet. You're still going to put music out there. If people find it, that's great. The fact that more people are finding it lately is a great story, and hopefully the story will continue. No matter what. I appreciate that, man. Absolutely. So again, Mike Ferentino with releases on May 31st, and then later this summer, we'll put all that information up for you on my pages. And please check out the other 2 episodes. The one thing that I always try to do with Mike is always trying to not do the same thing twice. And I can guarantee you, you go back to the other 2 episodes, they have definitely not been the same thing twice. That's the beauty of us.
Absolutely, man.
Cheers to you.
You know, it's been a pleasure. I always love to talk to you, man. So
yeah, absolutely. I know I got to take a trip down to Florida. I know that it will happen.
You know, you're welcome. You got a place to stay. This will be your little bed and breakfast.
I like that. Hey, listen, I'll be back on June 3rd.
Same thing with you, Ming. Anytime you're in the area.
We're going to Florida, baby.
Let's go to Tampa, everybody.
Yeah, we're going to
you let me know, man.
One of the world's greatest strip clubs. Yes, let's go.
I'm going to point out 2 shows that are coming up for me this coming month. June 3rd, it will be Brian Vander Ark of the Verve Pipe who will be joining me. And I want to thank Mike personally, because coming up later in June is a band that he knows intimately. A bunch of guys called Gravity Kills have agreed to come on with me. Thanks to you.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. Very happy.
Please let me know when that's happening, man.
Oh, that's absolutely. Awesome. They had nothing but great things to say about you, so they're excited about coming on.
I love those guys, man. Some of the most down-to-earth, greatest people I ever met.
And I do have one great story that I want to share with them, because if I remember correctly, because I'll bring this clip up to them as we wrap up. The last day of that tour back in the day with you and Gravity Kills and Republica, I believe it was at Birch Hill in New Jersey. And the reason I remember it, all of a sudden, there's bottles of Dom being pulled out by Gravity Kills, and I'm sitting there going, why are they pulling out Dom? And then I found out, if I remember correctly, they were thanking you guys for being a part of the tour. And all I remember at the end of that night was I got a champagne buzz that gave me quite a headache the next morning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then we went off with Republica after that, and we ended up being their opener. And then there was a third band on that tour. So yeah, that was an incredible year. And then Ian Astbury from the Cult, we toured with that year. It was just unbelievable times.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy you got those guys on. You got to get Republic on as well.
We're working on that. I got to interview her because I was just total fan of Ready to Go, and I'm happy to hear that she's going out and doing shows and all this stuff. So it kind of plays into where I'm going in the next month. So a lot of good bands coming on. I'm looking forward. You kind of got the ball rolling. So thank you very much, my friend.
I'm psyched for you, man.
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing. It's really cool.
I'm going to try. I appreciate that.
Your Don Dazzo interview is amazing. The Miles Hunt one was amazing. I've even watched a few of the sports ones. That was pretty cool.
Well, you had a big help in getting Miles on, and Miles was just so gracious with his time and really understanding of because this was a couple of years ago when the technology wasn't as good as it is now. So much appreciated. Much love to everything you've done for this podcast. I say that.
I appreciate you too, man. Thank you.
Back June 3rd, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. We'll see you then. Until then, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend and get ready for summer. Mike, thanks again.
Peace out.
Peace out.